So we just took a look at the back Ochos. So now we're going to look at forward Ochos, which we can begin and end the exact same way. And the leaders are pretty similar in that we can start with our step to our left, the follower is on the right. But instead of sending the energy around Shelley this way, so that her back leg is ready for the step, I'm going to send the energy around this way. Now look what happens. Her left leg is still the same leg that was doing the back step, but now it's ready for a forward step. So I lead her to take a forward step. Now I send the energy around this way, and we can do a forward step. Forward, forward. Then I stop at neutral, I switch right, and I step out. So, after we take the first side step, the leader actually has a decision to make. Really, probably should have already made it before he, as he was taking that step. Am I going to lead her to take a back step or a forward step? So try as an exercise, actually, just to stand here and invite her to pivot back and pivot forward. Of course, only a couple of times because her leg's going to get tired, So do it a couple of times. Find out how that feels different. So, as I invite the follower to pivot and go forward, notice something that Shelley's doing here. She's stepping with her heel. If we turn this way, you might can see a little better. Whenever Shelley takes a forward step, she steps with the heel. Now, it's not over-exaggerated. It's not like taking the toe way up in the air
and then down to my heel.
Right. It's a transfer from the heel to the ball of the foot. And then when I feel that she's on the ball of the foot, that's when I invite the pivot. So I feel heel to ball and then pivot. And one thing that this helps with, that stepping with the heel to the ball of the foot, is I feel that as the leader. And so I can feel the heel landing, I can feel the transfer, and then I know that she's ready for me to invite a pivot. Another thing to look out for, and this applies to both forward and back Ochos, is for the followers. It's not to do what we call runaway Ochos, which is that I invite the pivot and she's already starting to go. The pivot doesn't necessarily mean to step. It's two separate things. Pivoting and stepping. Pivoting and stepping. And this brings up another topic. Why does she step in this dance? Right now, the follower's weight is on the left. Why would the follower step to the side, to the back, or forward? It's when I, as the leader, invite the follower off their axis. So here, if I move towards Shelley, it's going to move her off her balance, so she's going to step back. If I move backwards, she's going to move off of her axis to step forward. Here to the side. So here, I invite her to pivot and then to step. Now, of course, in the dance, we want this to flow nicely. We want all of this to happen smoothly. But the reason we don't want her to automatically step after a pivot is we could do something like this. We could pivot and then come back and go in the other direction. See, but if she's already started taking her step when we've done the pivot, then that's off the table. We have to go. and will feel pulled into the step. So, pivot and then step together, 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 together. So just like with all steps here, it's going to originate from the hip. The leg is going to straighten. And again, if the leg straightens, then that's what causes the heel to hit the floor. Whereas a lot of times what you see is followers step with a bent knee. And see there, she's stepping, so if she does this on each step, you can see this is not an attractive way to do Ochos. Now go back to the original. Yes. See how much nicer it looks when the follower steps and the leader step with a straight leg. Same for me when we're just walking. Notice this. I'm stepping with a straight leg versus here. Versus straight. It's the thing, everything in tango sort of interrelates to everything else. So a lot of these things you might hear us repeat in different classes, but it's because it applies, everywhere. Okay, thanks. We'll come back with Ocho cortados.